Good morning. My name is Victoria Wills. I'm an arts instructor with Lane Arts Council, and I'm so happy to share an art project with you today that is called Building Worlds with Paper. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to envision a world and go through a step-by-step process together in which we use paper and other materials that I'll go over to construct your world visually. I love to make things using my hands and also using art materials that are easily found. Let's start right now with a mindfulness movement. And I invite everybody, if you're sitting in a chair, on the floor, wherever you are, to lengthen your spine. And let's take a deep breath in. And let that breath out, exhale together. Great. We're going to imagine that we have two buckets of paint, one on either side, and we're going to choose the color. So decide what color paint you have, and we're going to locate our elbows and dip an elbow into each bucket of paint. And remember, choose your color of paint. So it's okay to choose one color for one elbow and the other color for the other. I'm going to choose rainbow. So mine is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and black and brown. So here I go. In one bucket, in the other bucket, got paint. And we're going to take our elbows and draw circles in the air with our elbows. And I'm right now drawing circles on the side. We can draw circles above, circles below. Now let's try to draw some circles where you haven't drawn any circles before. Okay, let's try doing that in the opposite direction. Here we go. A little bit more paint on one elbow, more paint on the other. I'm still using rainbow. You can change colors if you like. And circle those elbows back, circles up high, circles in front, and circles below. Let's take our hands now and get our hands all nice and painty. Choose your color, dipping one hand in the paint, scooping up lots of paint, other hand, I'm ready. And we're going to trace more circles with our hands. And this time, let's think about the size of the circle. We can do smaller circles. So I'm going to do actually a circle and then another circle inside of that circle. What kind of circle design can you think about? Draw that circle. I'm making some circles on the floor right now, and it's looking really nice. And I just remembered behind me. So I'm doing my best to draw some circles behind. Okay, I think I have decorated the space around me. Let's take our hands and rub them together to wipe off that paint, clean up, and gently rub the paint off of your elbows. There we go. Shake that off. And now we're ready to begin our art project. We are going to look at the materials that we have. And we're going to get them ready. Let's organize our materials. We have paper. We have colored pencils. Now, some of you might have glue stick or tape or a stapler. Any one of these three are great. Okay, let's get started with our art project. I'm going to ask the friends who are using tape to follow along. And the friends who are using the glue stick or the stapler will go through your instructions next. For friends who are using the tape, I'm going to move the art materials out of the way. For friends who are using tape, let's take two pieces of paper and place them side by side like that. Notice that I have two long edges touching. If we imagine, maybe you've ever sat back to back with a friend and you sit up so tall and you make sure that your backs are connected from your shoulders all the way down to the floor. Let's imagine these two pieces of paper are like those two friends, and they're making sure that their shoulders are touching, their backs are connected from the shoulders all the way down to the floor. There we go. Friends who have tape, we're going to, how much tape? I'm going to say, I'm showing you this with my hand, but that can be tape that is about as wide as your eye, or tape that is another length that's similar, is as long as two pieces of macaroni, or maybe you can think of something, maybe as long as two bumblebees lying head to toe. I have my piece of tape, and I'm going to try to keep my paper together, hold it with one hand, and place the tape so that it touches one side and touches the other side, and press it down gently. I have a lot of practice doing this. So my pieces of paper are connected. I see no spaces in between. However, some of you might be doing this for the first time, and your pieces of paper might have a little air showing in between. And you know what? That's okay. We're all trying to do our best. Let's take another piece of tape. We just taped at the top where the shoulders might be if we were two friends back to back. Now we're going to tape down at the bottom where the floor would be. Same thing. We're placing one side of the tape on one piece of paper, the other on the other piece of paper, and press down. And a last piece of tape in the center. And here's an art term for you. We don't have to make a scientific measurement to find out where the center or the middle is of this piece of paper. I'm going to do what we call eyeballing it. I'm going to use my eyeball and take a guess of where the center is going to be, because that guess is going to be fine. It's okay if it's not in the scientific center. One side of the tape on one side, the other piece of tape on the other, and press it down. I will take two more pieces of tape, and this time I'm going to place the tape the long way, the up and down way. The first pieces of tape were going side to side. Some of you might have learned to call that the hamburger way, and this would be called the hot dog way. I'm going to lay this tape over the place where the two pieces of paper are meeting and press that down. I place that, I eyeballed the center and eyeball one other center, and then I'm finished. What I have done now is connected a front cover and a back cover to these two pieces of paper, creating what we are calling the planning journal. This booklet, this journal, which we've just made, has a front cover and a back cover, and we're going to use it to plan the world that we're going to be creating. I'm going to do the directions now for friends who have glue. Friends with glue, we are going to lay your papers down side by side the same way as if you are two friends sitting back to back, and here are your shoulders and here is the floor. Notice the tops and bottoms are meeting. I'm going to take the glue stick. I will take off the lid, and we always want to remember where we put the lid so that when we're done with the glue stick, we can replace or put the lid right back. I'm going to put the glue stick down, noticing where it is, and I'll crank on the glue, screwing the bottom so that just a little bit of glue comes out. I know it can be really fun to turn it and watch the whole glue stick come out, and today we're not going to do that. We're going to just make a little bit of glue come out and lay or draw a line of glue along one edge of the paper that's on the right-hand side, this piece of paper. where I'm going to draw a line of glue right up against the edge, and the line I'll draw is just about as wide as my finger. I place one hand at the top of the paper so the paper won't move too much when I'm drawing with the glue. Put the glue stick down. Remember to hold the paper down with one hand and gently draw the line of glue, trying to keep along that edge until I get to the bottom. I'll check that, and I can see that there is glue there along the whole edge. If you don't see the glue the whole way, you can go back and do it one more time. We don't have to press very hard with the glue stick. It's not necessary to make the glue stick smash. Put the lid right back on the glue stick when you're done. Take the other piece of paper, and I'm going to match the top corner by just laying it down, and I'm going to take it my finger, I'm holding the paper with one hand, take my finger and press, and I'm going to press along the whole edge to connect those two pieces of paper. Do you see that it's not entirely even there? I'm going to lift it up a little bit and try to straighten it out, and then I'm going to decide that's good enough. It's actually good enough. That makes a perfectly usable planning journal. It opens and closes just like a booklet. So remember, we're trying to match the edge, and if it's off a little bit, it's okay. Friends with a stapler. Here we go. We're going to start a little bit differently. We're going to take one piece of paper and lay it down in front of us. Place the second piece of paper on top, just like that. I'm matching all the corners. So it could look like I just have one piece of paper, but we know that it's two. I will take the stapler, and I'm going to place a staple at 3 different places along the edge, and I'll put the stapler in just a little bit, about as far, but about that far in, and the first staple will go right up near the top corner of the paper. Hold the papers with one hand, and then I can press on the staple with the other. It could be kind of hard to do. Then I will pick up both hands and press extra hard. There I have one nice secure staple. I'm going to go look at my pages, make sure they're lined up, that the edges are still matching, and I'm going to come to the center of my paper, and I am not measuring the center, I'm just eyeballing it, which means I'm making a good I held the pages with one hand. Now I'll take 2 and press. Notice that I didn't pound on the stapler. It's not necessary. We just need to be able to apply good pressure. Now I'm making sure that both ends are connected, putting the staple in, 2 hands, and press. And look at what we have now. We have a planning journal that opens and closes. All right, we have connected the front cover to the back cover. Now we can move on to envisioning our world. Knowing that this is a planning journal, that means that we have some planning to do. We have some decisions to make. Let's brainstorm. The way we do this is we're going to imagine that you are either a bird or you're flying on the back, you're riding on the back of a bird that's soaring in the sky. Maybe you are a hawk that's riding on the warm rising air currents coming up from the land, and you've spread your wings and you're flying over the land, and you swoop a little closer so that you can get a good look of what your world looks like. And we're going to create the world in your mind now so that you can see it as if you're taking a picture. What do you see on your world? Just the land. Do you see volcanoes? Are they erupting? Are there several volcanoes? Are they large or small? And are there mountains? Are there tall mountains? Is there snow? What about a desert? If you're circling around and you're on the back of the bird and you're looking down in all directions, are you seeing a large, vast desert, maybe with some sand dunes? Or maybe you see a large meadow with some rolling hills. What about water? Is there water in your world? Let's think about what kind of water there might be. Perhaps you're in the middle of an ocean and there are huge waves and you can hear them way out in the open ocean. And maybe you are in a slow-moving river. Again, we're still riding at that bird and we're looking down. You could be in a river that's rolling along, and maybe you're in a stream and you're coming down off the mountains and you're crashing over giant boulders and splashing. What might it feel like to be there in your world? Let's think about the weather. Maybe the bird comes swooping down even closer so that now you're looking straight at the world. And maybe the bird is even perching on the ground. Where are you standing? Are you standing under some shade because the mountain that you're next to is just so big? And is the sun up ahead? Is the weather warm? Is it sunny and warm in your world? Is it hot and muggy because you're near a river? Or do you feel the ocean spray? Is there water in the air in your world? Maybe it's raining where you are. Maybe if you're on top of a mountain, a really tall peak, and you're looking over a cliff, maybe it's covered with icy glaciers. I hope you've been thinking, planning, where is your world? What do you see there? Okay, we've talked about what we might see in our world, had a chance to think a little bit about the weather, how that might feel on our skin, using our senses of sight and imagining, feeling what that might feel like. Let's now take those ideas that you've developed and hopefully that you've made them into a picture in your head and create a name for your world. What would you call your world? Take a moment and think about the weather and the landforms that you saw and come up with the best name that you can think of. And we're going to find our colored pencils. And you can choose the colors that work best for you and your world, that maybe represent what you see in your world, and choose those colors. And we're going to write the name of the world right up here at the top of your page. And when I say up here at the top of your page, I don't mean that it has to be in teeny little letters up here. I mean, let's aim for this top area of the page because we'll be doing something else down here later. I'm going to choose blue. And when you have your name in your mind, you can start writing that name here. You can also ask an adult mentor to help you with the name of your world. So let's take a moment and write the name of our paper here, making the creative choice of color. I'm going to write world. I'm choosing this blue, this deep, it's like a deep periwinkle mixed with indigo blue, because it reminds me of water and it reminds me of the night sky. It reminds me of a bluebird. So it's a color that can represent a lot of different things. And I'm writing world up here, and I'm going to choose to make my D small and fit inside the L. I am going to go back in and select another color, and I'm just going to trace over my letter. I'm going to make that creative choice to add a little bit of color on my letters, just tracing over them because it's fun and I like to add color. And I am going to make one more creative choice and underline. Here I go. I'm going to, did you hear my, the lead of my pencil broke a little bit? That's okay. I'm going to make sure I see where it is and I'm putting it in this jar so nobody steps on it. And I'm just tracing. I'm changing my mind. I'm going to draw around this word. So now I have a title. Now I have a title for my planning journal. I'll just give you another minute to finish that up with your name and your creative choices. And remember that you can take more time to work on this after this teaching session is over at some other time in between now and our next lesson. All right, let's move forward, and I'd like to just take a moment. Let's sit up nice and tall again. Lengthen your spine, lengthen your back, lift up your neck, and think about the creative choices that you made today. You were creating your world. Let's even back it up. Let's go back to when we were having a mindfulness moment of movement. And you chose the color that you put on your hands and your elbows. You chose the size and the direction and the location of the circles that you made. That's an artistic choice. Good for you. You made artistic choices when we were deciding what was going to be in your world. What would the land look like? What does the weather feel like in your world? There's another choice that you made. And then finally, almost finally, we connected our planning journal. You constructed something and you made the planning journal. That's wonderful. And then you decided on a name for your world and you wrote that name on the top of your page of your planning journal. And here I have mine here. Think about all those creative choices that were involved in the work that you did to make this journal today. And choose one, maybe the one choice that surprised you the most, or maybe it was a choice you didn't think you were going to take, or something that you felt proud of. Let's choose one thing that you do feel proud of that you did. And thinking about that, let's take a deep breath in together and let that breath out, noticing that moment of success. And I ask and invite you to take that feeling of success and carry that with you throughout the day. It's so important to recognize our successes and our victories, even the ones that might seem small, even the ones that nobody else notices. And that's why it's extra important for you to notice every success that you have in your day. Now that we've created the journal, you've got your title on, you can take a little bit of time to think about what are you going to put on the cover to decorate the cover. You have your title up on the top, and we have the lower part now underneath the title. All of this space we can use to show what our world looks like. Again, you can choose the colored pencils that you'll use that reflect your creative choices for what you need to see on the world. You might choose to pick one thing in your world that really stands out, maybe like a symbol, something that stands for your world, and draw that. Or you can actually start drawing your world right here on your page. You can take a few minutes and start drawing that right now. Think about showing, maybe your creative choice will be, what did I see from above when I was the eagle or when I was flying on the back of the hawk? What was my view of the world? What did I see from the top? Maybe you aren't usually drawing things as if you were looking down on them from above. Maybe you're going to draw your world as if you're looking from the side. Maybe you're walking up toward it and you want to draw the large mountains or the forested area that you see. Maybe you're at the coast and you want to draw that shoreline. Take a moment and decorate your cover of your journal. You might even draw a cover that is what we would call abstract, in which you aren't drawing an object or a thing that you can name, but you're drawing something that's showing the shape or the color instead. And I'm going to choose something in between to be drawing in my world. I think in my world there's a lot of water. And I'm not drawing exactly the water, but I'm drawing a shape that I'm thinking of that's just making me think about water when I look at it. Let's remember that you will have time. You can make time between this lesson and the next lesson that we're going to be doing for building worlds with paper to decorate your cover even more so nobody has to rush. All right. I'm going to end today's lesson right there. I'm not sure what creative choices I'll make next on my planning journal. I thank you so much for coming and being part of this lesson, and I look forward to working with you again next time. Remember, take those creative choices into your day today and keep making creative choices all day long. Thank you. Bye.